Lagoon is a roller coaster filled oasis located in Farmington, Utah. It is very well known amongst locals for being Utah's only amusement park, and it just so happens that it's the largest within approximately 700 miles. That's an absolutely crazy number, and it makes it very difficult to visit Lagoon during a major coaster trip unless you are willing to drive 10 hours from Silverwood or Six Flags Discovery Kingdom. As for the park itself, it's a very nice little place. It shares several of the qualities of many other parks I've been to, such as Knoebels and Waldameer in Pennsylvania and Enchanted Forest in Oregon. Still, it's super unique and they have a pretty solid coaster lineup as well. With 11 existing roller coasters at the park, I was only able to ride 9 of them as Jetstar 2 ceases to operate this year due to social distancing measures, and Primordial remains under construction with an opening date that could range anywhere from 2021 to 2024. With all of this out of the way, I hope you guys enjoy the video. This is how I rank the 9 roller coasters currently in operation at Lagoon. Number 9, Puff the Little Fire Dragon. Puff the Little Fire Dragon is a very small zero kiddie coaster that utilizes several tiny airtime hills throughout its oval layout. For a teenage rider like me just trying to grab the credit and go, I'll have to say that it does what it's meant to do as a kiddie ride, and that said, I didn't find it comfortable at all. But that's probably just because it was made to appeal to a much younger audience. Puff is a good first coaster for the kids, but isn't anything too special at all. Number 8, Bat. Built in 2005, the Bat is an exact clone of another coaster I got to ride in 2019, Silver Streak at Canada's Wonderland. Although I wasn't the biggest fan of Silver Streak, it still wasn't as bad as many people made it out to be, and I think that can especially be said about the Bat. This one ran even smoother than its Canadian counterpart, and I have to admit, considering this is Lagoon's worst full-size roller coaster, it's impressive that it's a relatively decent family invert. Number 7, Bombora. Yet another one of the park's family coasters is Bombora. The ride was built by Lagoon themselves in 2011 with help from Art Engineering. Surprisingly, Bombora was a pretty decent family coaster as it had several twists, turns, and helixes thrown into the layout. By far the most unique thing about this ride, however, is the surf-themed on-ride audio that plays during the entire layout. Very few parks know how to successfully maintain a coaster's onboard audio, but this ride's on-ride sounds as good as it probably did when it first opened. In general, it's a fun coaster that further diversifies the park's lineup of family rides. Number 6, Wild Mouse. Lagoon's Wild Mouse was built by Maurer Rides in 1998, but is actually one of the craziest traditional Wild Mouse coasters I've ever ridden. The ride runs with very minimal trims and provides some insane moments of lateral G-force. Another unique aspect of the ride is the tunnel towards the end, as you rarely ever see tunnels incorporated into coasters of this size. Although I'd usually call a Wild Mouse coaster a family ride, this one is borderline, if not a straight-up thrill ride. It's very aggressive and ranks just outside of the park's top 5. Number 5, Colossus the Fire Dragon. This classic Schwarzkopf coaster from 1983 may actually be my new favorite roller coaster by the manufacturer. The layout is nearly identical to Scorpion at Busch Gardens Tampa in Florida, but with the most notable difference being the additional loop. This coaster has 2 back-to-back vertical loops at the beginning of the ride, and man are they intense. By the end of the 2 inversions, I'd say there's a pretty good chance you'll be graying out and it'll take a few seconds to recover. The rest of the ride is pretty much just a turn that threads through the second loop in a 900-degree helix into the brake run. Colossus is very forceful and is highly recommended to anyone that likes coasters with high amounts of positive G-force. Number 4, Roller Coaster. Under normal circumstances, I'd give a coaster with a name like this a hard time, but I think I'll give this ride a pass due to its age. Roller Coaster was built all the way back in 1921, making it the oldest operating coaster in the park. With this ride's age, you'd probably expect a pretty rough ride, right? Wrong. I was extremely impressed by how this ride was running after nearly a century of operation. Not only that, but there's several airtime moments and some minor laterals, making for a very solid classic roller coaster. So why does this ride run so smooth? I think it has something to do with the steel plating on the track and the new trains built by Great Coasters International that were introduced to the ride in 2018. In my opinion, this is one of those coasters in the park that deserves a couple of re-rides in different rows. It's really that fun. Number 3, Spider. Prior to riding the Spider, I had ridden several other coasters of this layout by Maurer Rides, so going in, I wasn't sure the ride was going to be as good as many enthusiasts suggested. But truth be told, it's one of the most wild and dizzying roller coasters I may have ever ridden. Like the Wild Mouse, I'd argue that most spinning coasters of this size should be considered family coasters, but due to how this one runs when the train is loaded off balance, it is quite literally anything but. Spider spins so fast and so violently that I was seeing stars when we hit the final brake run. If you have a weak stomach, I wish you the best of luck when riding this crazy spinning coaster. Number 2, Wicked. In 2007, Lagoon decided to go outside of their comfort zone to build their most thrilling roller coaster yet. Wicked is the world's only launched tower coaster that was ever built by Zero, and it's extremely unique and provides sensations I haven't exactly felt on any other roller coaster, most notably with the vertical tower, which utilizes a launch out of the tunnel and another launch about a second later, but this time as you are rising 90 degrees straight up. I have no idea how, but this element literally gives floater airtime while rising straight up. Because of this and the ejector airtime you get coming down the vertical drop, this top hat is actually my favorite element on any coaster in the park, and it's not even that close. Other than the top hat, the ride also has a fantastic zero G-roll that is extremely satisfying to watch from off-ride, but even more satisfying to float through on-ride. Again, you're experiencing more floater airtime, but this time exiting an inversion. These two elements really make the ride for me because the rest honestly isn't too great, but still it's my second favorite coaster in the park and I'd consider it to be a pretty fantastic ride. Number 1, Cannibal. Without any research prior to riding, it would be hard to believe that this monstrous hypercoaster was built in-house by the park themselves, but in 2015, Lagoon debuted what is undoubtedly their star attraction, and wow, they really knocked it out of the park with this one. The coaster is most well known by enthusiasts to have opened with North America's steepest drop at 116 degrees. Although one coaster has since taken that record, this ride still has the tallest beyond vertical drop not just in North America but in the entire world. Folding underneath yourself whilst diving 208 feet downwards is one of the craziest experiences I've ever had on a coaster. You can't even see where the drop begins when you are at the top of the elevator lift hill, which speaking of, adds a very cool dynamic to the beginning of the ride. That, along with the plenty of great theming in the tunnel just before it, really sets the mood for what's to come. Following the drop is a menacing layout with plenty of bank turns and wonky inversions, including what appears to be a stretched out implement and a dive loop that looks like it was crunched up into a very tight space. Another element that is worth mentioning is the Lagoon roll, which is exclusive to this coaster and this coaster only. It's essentially two simultaneous heartline rolls, but each one spirals in the opposite direction. In conclusion, Cannibal is an incredibly unique and fun standout ride for the park, and rightfully puts it on the map for roller coaster enthusiasts all around the world. I hope you guys enjoyed the video and agreed with my rankings, but if not, be sure to comment your thoughts down below. Also, if you can, it would mean a lot to me if you subscribe to the channel. Every day we proceed to get closer and closer to 1,000 subscribers, and I'd like to remind you guys that every single subscription counts. Again, thank you for the support, and I'll see you guys all in my next video. Bye guys.